Hello, I am Candles and Creepy Stuff, and welcome to my series on Marilyn Monroe. Today would have been Marilyn's 95th birthday, so I wanted to start off reviewing one of her more iconic films, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. I will be releasing more Marilyn content each month. I am currently in the process of doing research and fact-checking various sources, so please be patient with me as I work to get the most accurate content available. Carol Channing starred in the Broadway production of Gentlemen Prefer Blondes as Lorelei Lee. If you don't know who Carol Channing is, she was a very popular stage actress who played in numerous musicals on Broadway, most notably Hello Dolly. She was also in the film version of Thoroughly Modern Millie. The rights to the story were originally bought by Fox as a vehicle for Betty Grable. However, after the success of Niagara in 1953, the studio believed they had a more potent and far less expensive sex symbol than Grable. At the time, Grable was currently earning around $150,000 per picture versus Marilyn's $18,000. So Marilyn was cast and the rest is film history. In an interview, Marilyn recalled the lack of respect studio execs had for her. She stated, "I remember when I got the part for Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. Jane Russell was the brunette and I was the blonde. She got $200,000 and I got my $500 a week. But that to me was, considerable. She, by the way, was quite wonderful to me." At this point, Jane Russell was a more established actress than Marilyn, but Marilyn was the lead in the film. However, Marilyn was told by Fox execs that she was not the star of the film. In response, Marilyn was quoted as saying, "Well, whatever I am the blonde." Fox Studios reportedly wanted to dub both Jane Russell and Marilyn's singing voices in this film. Marni Nixon was asked to be Marilyn's singing voice. Marni is famous in Hollywood for doing voice dubbing for a number of major stars in musicals, most famously for Audrey Hepburn in My Fair Lady.
Danced all night and still have begged for more.
According to Marni, the studio initially wanted Marilyn's entire voice dubbed, as they thought her voice was silly. Nixon thought that was awful as she felt Marilyn's voice suited her persona so beautifully. The musical director on the film, Lionel Newman, famously stitched together a vocal rendition of Russell and Marilyn singing their opening number. This was compiled from multiple takes, and surprisingly enough, it actually convinced the studios to allow both actresses to sing their own parts. For the most part. Marni told the New York Times in March of 2007 for the song Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend, she did end up dubbing the operatic No No No's at the beginning of the song.
No, 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 no.
And the phrase, "These rocks don't lose their shape."
But square cut or pear shape, these rocks don't lose their shape.
Can you imagine what would have happened if Marilyn never even sang in that film? It's crazy to think that it almost didn't even happen. So, two very popular female stars in a brand new film. What could possibly go wrong now? Gossip columnists apparently tried to create a feud between Marilyn and Jane. Unfortunately for them, the pair got along very well. According to Jane's 1985 autobiography, she called Marilyn Blondie on the set, and she was the only person who could coax Marilyn out of her trailer to begin the day's filming. That wasn't the end of trouble on the set. Co-star Tommy Noonan, who played Marilyn's love interest, Gus Esmond, admitted on set that he didn't like kissing Marilyn, and when Marilyn overheard his comment, she burst into tears and locked herself in her dressing room. It took quite a while before the crew were able to get her to come out. Can I just say, the only man in history to ever complain about not enjoying kissing Marilyn Monroe. But who remembers Tommy Noonan? Let's see. He was in this, and he also had a supporting role in A Star is Born, and didn't really have much of a career to speak of since. Sounds about right. For the Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend musical number, Marilyn was originally going to be dressed in nothing but bands of black velvets and masses of rhinestones, creating the illusion of a woman-sized diamond necklace. However, this design was deemed too revealing and vetoed by the studio in favor of the now iconic pink dress. Man, Fox really had to wimp out on us.
I can be smart when it's important, but most men don't like it.
I think this line perfectly sums up a lot of Marilyn's relationships. Marilyn had created this sexy persona of Marilyn Monroe, but that's all it was, a persona. Marilyn often stated it in interviews that people expected her to be like that off camera, and it led to a lot of disappointment in a number of her relationships when they found out that she was nothing like that image that they had projected onto her.
Say, they told me you were stupid.
Gentlemen Prefer Blondes follows two showgirls, Dorothy Shaw, played by Jane Russell, and Lorelei Lee, played by Marilyn Monroe. Lorelei is engaged to a wealthy man named Gus Esmond. Gus's father, Mr. Esmond, disapproves of their relationship, so Gus arranges for Lorelei to travel to Europe to wait for him while he works on convincing his father to allow them to marry. Dorothy goes along as a chaperone, and before Lorelei leaves, Gus is sure to give her a line of credit for when she arrives in France. Mr. Esmond, suspicious that Lorelei is only after his son's money, reasonably so, hires a private detective to keep an eye on Lorelei, and a series of fun musical numbers and charming comedic antics ensue across the Atlantic as this story unfolds. I absolutely adore this film. I think that if you have never seen a film of Marilyn's before, this is a great one to start with, considering this has one of her most iconic songs, and by this point her persona of Marilyn Monroe had been perfected, and you can clearly see that the way she carries herself through the entire film.
And I think of fares that you must give was Sonic a better bet.
The jokes still hold up fairly well. The scene where Marilyn gets stuck in the window still makes me laugh, and I love when Jane and Marilyn's characters work together to get a man's clothes off of him. And let's not forget Henry Spofford III and Valet.
How can you stand that doddering old wolf? Can't you see his intentions are not honorable?
For heaven's sakes, get me out of here.
For a movie in the early 1950s, it is a charming, lighthearted comedy that really pushes boundaries. The song Ain't There Anyone Here for Love is a very interesting musical number. While Russell is singing, we see her ogling the scantily clad men doing their various exercises. This is an early on-screen moment where we see female desire being legitimized. Russell is actively taking pleasure in what she sees, and this was rarely done in films prior to this point.
I like big muscles and red corpuscles. I like a beautiful hunk of man.
There's also many critics that have mentioned gender swapping, particularly with Jane Russell's character. Dorothy is the more masculine character, and her costumes often include square shoulders to resemble that masculine figure. I have found several people mention that there was this underlying sexual chemistry between the characters Lorelei and Dorothy, and that in the final scene where we see the two women in matching wedding dresses, it almost appears that they are marrying each other.
But at last we won the big crusade. Looks like we finally made the grade.
I can totally see where they are coming from. Howard Hawks was very clever with this film and the underlying symbolism in many scenes. The diamonds number always stands out to me, as we see women restrained as part of chandeliers in the background throughout the musical number, almost as if they're just objects to be looked at, but they don't really have any responsibilities or duties other than to be admired from a distance. And yes, this is a spectacle musical, but you can't tell me that doesn't symbolize women's traditional roles in the 50s. I think this film is brilliant, clever when it needs to be, subtle with its symbolism, and overall very entertaining considering it was made 68 years ago.
As girls grow old and we all lose our charms in the end.
By this point, Marilyn had perfected the image of Marilyn Monroe, screen goddess, and it shows. Stay tuned for my next video where we delve underneath that persona and look at her early life and what it was really like to be Norma Jean. If you like this video and are interested in more content related to Marilyn Monroe, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel, as I will continue to be releasing more videos for my series documenting Marilyn. If there are other films you would like to see me review, please list them in the comments below. I have a wide variety of interests, and it is okay if the movie you would like to see me review is not one of Marilyn's or even from this era. I am a huge film buff, and I would love to see films that you are passionate about. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will be seeing you again soon.